Are you the one? Are you the 1%? Are you willing to do what it takes to be the 1%? That's why you're here, bro. Focused on creating, multiplying, and preserving wealth, teaching you guys these things, waking you guys from the guys. I'm not here to wake up drones. I'm not here to wake up people that I don't want to. I'm not here to talk to the negative, bro. It's 95% of them. I'm gonna talk to the 5%. The 5%. The revolution has started. The revolution has started. There is no going back. There is no going back. There is no going back from this, guys. For the rest of your life, there is no going back. You know too much. You know too much. You know. You can never go back to working a slave job and being happy, bro. You can no longer go back and have a master. Who are you going to be? Are you the one? Well, the question is, are you going to adapt the habits, the knowledge, the resources, the skills, the knowledge, the equanimity, the mindset of the 1%? Are you going to still do the same ass shit that the 80% do? Do you get it?
If you want to make it to the top, no shortcuts, my friend. If you want to make it to the top, you can't just hustle your way to greatness. You have to become a new person. You have to develop new skills. You have to develop a new mind and refine who you are and how you operate. If you look at a billionaire, they're not the same person they used to be when they just got started. Oh, well, that's obvious, Luke. Yeah, well, what was the process that got them to a billionaire status? That is what you need to learn, and then understand what are the skills that you need to develop in order to, in some way, shape, or form, exemplify a piece of that greatness or a piece of those developed skills. If you want to become a highly proficient athlete, you're going to have to put in the hours. If you want to become a highly proficient chef or highly proficient musician, you're going to have to put in the hours and the work and the dedication. Nobody's going to stand or give you accolades or praise when you are unrefined and unpolished and common like everybody else. It's the same thing with business. It's the same thing with greatness. It's the same thing with accomplishing your goals. Like I said, Abraham Lincoln said if he had 6 hours to cut down a tree, he would spend the first 5 sharpening the axe. And in those first 5 hours, you're going to feel like it's unproductive. You're going to feel like you're wasting your time. But then when you slice the tree, you're going to be like, whoa. People were telling me that I just had to grind and hustle and just try and chop this thing down, and it wasn't working. But in the process of self-development, in the process of refinement, in the process of polishing yourself, things become easier. If it's hard today, through repetition and through effort, it'll get easier tomorrow. And that process of iteration and polishing and refining and sharpening will lead you to become a better entrepreneur, a better individual, a better person altogether.
To somebody at their lowest moment right now watching this video, what do you say to them?
There's only one way, one direction. If you're at the bottom, there's only one way, but you got to look up. And when you look up, there's somebody there waiting for you. His name is G-O-D. And he's there with a hand, reaching out, waiting for you to take control of your life. Because I learned one very important lesson. Your relationship with God is like that of a captain and a crew member. One rows, the other one steers. But it's very interesting because many times in our life, we want to get confident and cocky and arrogant. And God says, I steer, but I do not row. We need to put in the work, and God will guide. And that's the greatest lesson I've learned.
In order for you to look for the truth, you have to be humble, because humility is what gives you the teachable attitude and the student's attitude in order to develop a spiritual maturity that is abnormal. The second one is you need consistency. Just like in your physical realm, the spiritual realm requires consistency. Right? You have to consistently develop the spiritual side of your life in order for it to become strong. And when people are like, oh, Luke, how can I become like you? All these things are like, well, what do you mean become like you? Oh, well, you talk this way and you believe these things. I'm like, yes, well, you have to instill a life of discipline that you start adapting these habits and this way of life. And then inevitably it'll just become who you are. So I think people need to focus on being consistent, and I think people need to focus on having a teachable attitude and being humble. And if you don't humble yourself, the world and God will.